Hello. I see a froggy mould, and that can only mean one thing. It's Froggy Friday. We've got out some red, we've got out some glitter, the resin is going, I've even got the eyes ready, aren't they lovely? Right then, let's go play. Hello everyone and welcome to NERDGOBLIN Art. I'm Lula. It is Froggy Friday, and not only that, as many of you know, I am from Wales, and tomorrow, the 1st of March, is St. David's Day, and that is the Welsh, saint. So, I am going to do a Welsh Dragon inspired Froggo. Oh yes, I'm just going to put a picture up on screen of the flag of Wales. And yes, it is a very cool flag. It's a very cool flag, if you ask me. So I am just using some UV resin from JDiction to get the eyes into position. I've already put in a little marking on the eyes so I know the direction that they go. That's a really good thing to do. I'm using Apex resin from Just For You Online UK, but they are now known as Apex resin. So that is mixing up nicely on the Isotoyo mixer that Isotoyo very, very kindly sent me. And I'm enjoying using it. It gives me time to be able to do stuff like this whilst the resin is having his mix up. The UV resin doesn't take a lot. You use your UV lamp if you are new to resin. Just, pay attention to what you're doing. Be aware that natural light will make it go gloopy and eventually set. On a very sunny day, I believe it says on the bottle that it could take about 20 minutes to set on a sunny day. My studio is in a conservatory, so I always have to be wary and I have to work quickly unless I choose to do my UV resin work in the evenings and nighttime. So I'm making sure that I'm getting both sides, and I do a little tap just to make sure that the resin is set, the UV resin, is set for those eyes. So that finished mixing, this Isotoyo mixer does 4 minutes on an automatic, and that'll go in both directions, and it even beeps to tell you kindly that it's finished. So I can just pop that away so I've got space. Now, can you see there? Can you see like little lines? That's like striations. Regardless of using a mixer of any sort, you need to make sure that the resin is fully mixed. That's scraping the sides and making sure you're getting the bottom of the cup as well. So I've put 8 fluid ounces into this cup. Those are Let's Resin measuring cups, so it's US fluid ounces. And I'm just splitting it because that's a lot of resin to have in one cup, and we don't want to cause a flash cure. And when the resin's just sitting there, that's the red that I'm using from Rosifer. Who knows? It's a nice red though. Resin is going to start heating up. So sitting in a big cup like that, it will get warm very quickly. So, you need to be aware of that. So I'm just mixing in this mica powder. As you saw on the picture, the Welsh Dragon is a lovely, lovely red. So I'm going to be mixing that in, and I will be adding some more. As you're stirring, you can check. I tend to lift the stirring stick, and I can see plainly if I can see through it. That is great if you can see through it and that's what your intention is. If you don't want it to be opaque, go for it. But I wanted this to be quite opaque. Opaque means basically dense, not see-through. So I'm making sure as well that there is no powder left. So that's why I'm going around and I'm scraping the sides as well. If you leave powdery bits in, the resin might not properly set in those spots. And it can also cause bubbles. And I don't mean little micro bubbles, I mean like holes. And you know, and that's never nice. I've also pulled out red by Let's Resin because it needed something a bit more. I could have added more and more of that other mica powder, and I didn't seem to be getting any more opaque than I already was. So I've added that little bit, and I think that I'm happy with that. The colour. The colours, when you look at them, they are quite similar, which is cool. But I think the quality of the Let's Resin one is stronger. So this is my Super Sparkle White, and I got that from Mini Scenes GB. I will link it in my description box below. It's a UK-based website. That's Tracy, and she has her own channel, so please do check her out. Because I'm not putting any colorants or powders into the frog, I've sprayed it with isopropyl alcohol. That stuff is great for helping with the dispensing of bubbles, but you should wear a mask. That stuff, you shouldn't be breathing it in. It's not the greatest thing to have going in your lungs, and that's why I wear my mask. And I'm just encouraging any bubbles up to the surface by putting my silicone tool around the chin area and around the sides. And I'm also using my heat gun, as you can see there. My heat gun is just one of those sorts that you can order on Amazon. I've been using it since May last year. That's when I first started using resin. And it's done me well. It's a good little one. It's got 2 heat settings as well. It's rare that I use the higher setting. I just use it on the first one. With this mould, as you could see, I filled it so high, gave it a spray, gave it the heat gun, encouraged bubbles up. This is where I find a lot easier. And this is a new mould as well. My other Fragon mould has been used so many times, and it's all different colours. I burnt it when I was first doing resin and didn't let the isopropyl alcohol settle, and I used a long neck lighter. So always be aware of stuff like that. It's why I tend to prefer using a heat gun as well. But I do have long neck lighters for other purposes as well. I mainly use it with the UV resins. So I made up enough resin for the Froggo. And so I'm going to be doing another Froggo and another one as well. We're going to be doing 2 Froggos. That's right. The resin that's sitting there, don't worry, we're going to be using that as well. There's method in my madness. I didn't want to mix it all at red because I want to make a like a tree stump for the Froggo to sit on. With these little frog ones, I've been using them a few weeks now. I got them from Temu. They are a matte mould, and I do find that you do need to encourage the resin to go into the ends of their tippy toes. I don't know why. It might just be me, but there you go. I'm just using tape just to help get any bits out because he's been sitting on my shelf. And I have cats. And the cat hair just materialises magically from thin air whenever I pull out a mould. So once again, as you can see, I'm giving it a tap, giving it a wiggle, and topping up. And I do the same with these moulds as with the larger one, and that's encouraging any bubbles around from underneath the chin. And as you can see, I'm also making sure that that resin is finding its way to his toes. Subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing to me. I've had a few videos in the last week, but I'd already pre-made them before I hit the magic 1,500 subscribers. It's a milestone and I'm so pleased. I'm surprised. I was surprised when I got 10 subscribers, and I'm surprised every time I hit some kind of a milestone. So thank you so much. And also thank you to my members. I appreciate each and every one of you, my subscribers, my members. If you're not a subscriber, please consider doing so. It's the touch of a button. It doesn't cost anything, and you make a nerd do a little happy wiggle or a slight little dance, even spirit fingers, you know. So thank you. Okay, I am now doing this. It's like it's a lot like a slice of wood, yeah. And I'm just mixing up some brown mica powder. I don't think I need a great amount. I've only ever done this mould once before, and once again, this mould is from Temu. You can also find it on places like Amazon, AliExpress, and places like that. I'm using olive green. I'm aware I didn't show you. I completely forgot. Sometimes I'm just too quick, and you know, I lock in and I hyper focus on things. I'm not brushing it all over. I wanted it to have like a moss feel on the outside, like, you know, it's been sitting there for the longest time. And the other reason I wanted elements of green within the make as well is because, as you saw on the flag, the Welsh Dragon sits on he's not sitting, he's standing on green, you know, basically showing like ground. So I just thought I'd give a little element of that as well. This is a lovely mould. I didn't mind pre-spraying a little bit with isopropyl alcohol. I'm well aware that I often say, if you've put down mica powder, don't do it. But this is fine because I'm not after it looking perfect because of like the moss type effect I want for it. It didn't need to be perfect, but it also has, as you can see, it has a lot of detail. So it's helpful to spray it beforehand with the isopropyl alcohol just to help with any bubbles. And I did underestimate how much the mould would need. So just mixing up a little bit more. And the mica powder I'm using is once again I'm going to say Rosafer. I need to learn how to say it. I'm not quite sure. But they're nice mica powders. I bought them in a box of 30 a good while back. But I am happy going between different, you know, brands of resin, different brands of mica powders and pigment powders. I'll use them all together. I'll use them in the same mix. Doesn't matter. It's not going to hurt the resin. So I'm just making sure that that is nice and up and level. I'm not going to dome it because I don't have a very good, I'm not good at doming things. And then I forget and I end up spraying it with isopropyl alcohol, and that's when it breaks the surface tension and it'll flow over. So, you know, oh dearie me. So I'm just using my silicone tool just to go around the edging of that mould, just to encourage any bubbles to come up. And it's going to be sitting there for a little while I'm still working. I'll keep my eye on it because of the amount of detail in the like the wood effect. Bubbles will be coming up for a little while. You can't pick this one up and tap it, but you can tap from underneath on your table. So that's something else you can do. And once again, using my heat gun. And as I say, it's rare that I use the highest setting. It's just too powerful. Even on this lighter setting, you can see, you know, the resin moving. And on the higher setting, the resin's just going to flow over the side of your mould and make a bit of a mess. And cleanup is a pain in the backside. Nobody, well, I do. I'm weird. I do like deburring things. But, you know, we want an easier life. So, these are cured. Well, nearly cured. Did you see on the picture of the flag that one of the dragon's feet were slightly up in the air? Now, I want to do this with the Froggo. Well, the Fragon. So I've made sure it is still slightly soft. And now I'm just trying to figure out how to make his hand stay up. Now I thought that, I thought that the empty, tub that I had would work. And I was like, it's too light. So I reached behind me and I've grabbed this little silicone mixing cup that I have, and yay! I can't actually lift the foot off the ground because of the structure of the frog, but I was able to get it to stay up. See, it worked. Hooray! And I made sure that everything else is cured fully, and he's looking lovely. That red is really nice. I know reds can be difficult with resin, so that is really lovely. So I'm just going to demold the tree piece. Isn't that fab? I really like that. So we can sit on there like that. It's not a lily pad, but we're good. We're good. We get the idea. And of course the little froggies. Not forgetting that they are a matte mould. If you want to shine them up, you can do so. You can give them a covering with the UV resin, or you could even just varnish them. So out they pop, and they're looking really, really sweet. And you can even see, even though they're matte, you can actually see that little bit of the sparkle in them, which is nice. So they're going to go sit by there, and they can watch. So I need some gloves for this. Ta-da! So I'm using JDiction UV resin. I don't have grease proof paper. I thought I did, there's none. So I've pulled out this old like clear silicone mat, which I'm going to use. A little while ago, about 5 months ago I would think, Daniel Cooper done a video on UV resin paper. So I finally want to have a go at this. Karen on the Dragon's Cave has also, she done an awesome video on it, and put it into some jewellery. So I want to have a go at making some UV resin paper to make wings. Yes, you can get moulds. There's probably easier ways. But I want to have a go at doing it with UV resin paper and using wire. I also just want to show you don't necessarily need all the moulds for being able to do certain things. So the idea is, it probably is easier with the grease proof or cookie dough paper, whatever you want to call it. But as I said, I didn't have it, and this worked fine. So I'm using my lamp and I'm making sure that it's having a good round, and I've done it both back and front. So this was the first one I got out of it. I needed to mix the resin, the alcohol ink, a little bit better than I did, but that's fine because I can still use that for something else in another project. We're also always doing the creepy ones. So I'm pouring about 5 drops, and I'm also adding bright red. The other alcohol ink is just called red, and this one's called bright red. So I'm adding the two together to get a slightly darker colour, and making sure, as you can see, that it's thoroughly mixed in. And I'm also adding a little touch of the diamond frost because they're wings and they're like magical to me. I'm taking artist rights on this one. I know they're not sparkly in the Welsh flag, but you know, gotta have a little bit of sparkle, darlings. We're artists, as Nikki will tell you. So I'm just spreading it out a little bit with my stirring stick, and then I'll fold it over and do exactly the same as I did on the first go, and it will be flipped over for me to do both sides, and I do both sides for about 3 minutes each. This time just use it by hand, really. It does look like there's been an accident. It looks like blood. So it's fun. It's fun. You can do it thinner, but I feel too clumsy. I don't know. Because every time I tried doing it, I was like, it's getting too close to the end. So there you go. So this goes under, and we have more of the resin, UV resin paper. This is the next day. I did a bunch because obviously I needed plenty in case I made any mistakes. And it won't be wasted regardless because I can just put it in one of my tubs and use it again. So this wire I got from Hobbycraft here in the UK. You can get it in many places. I think people use these type of things for wrapping like jewelry and stones and stuff like that. It's one of the thinner ones. I have it because I use it when I'm using clay, and I tend to make structure inside, you know, and wrapping foil. Just being wary when you're snipping them with those clippers, it can make the ends a little bit sharp, so just being careful with that. I'll be honest, I had an idea in my head of what I wanted, but pun intended, I was winging it. I was totally winging it. I was trying to figure out in my head what like the wings look like, you know, and this is just trying to form like the structure. And it was a bit of a pain in the backside because I don't think that I'm very good at doing like tiny little details like the twisty round bits. It's why I avoid doing a great deal of jewelry, because it, you know, it needs to be, you know, quite precise and little things and tiny little space. And no, it was fun though all the same. At this point, I've only done like two bone structures, but I decide to add a third. And then we're putting a piece in, you know, each middle, basically, you know, wings. So there you go. I'm going to play you a little music as it's Froggy FriYAY.
It's Froggy Friday, time to hop. With green and blue we never stop. Red and yellow join the fun. Ribbit, ribbit, everyone. Frogs in hats and frogs with shades, leaping high in neon parades. From lily pads to city lights, party frogs and flashing nights. Jump, jump, it's Froggy Friday. Splash and dance in our own way. Colors bright and spirits high. Frogs are partying under the sky. Glow sticks and funky tunes. Frogs go wild beneath the moons. Purple spots on orange skin. The frog fest about to begin. Fireflies like a froggy stage. as dance moves break free from the cage, croaking loud and croaking clear. Froggy Friday filled with cheer. Jump, jump, it's Froggy Friday. Splash and dance in our own way. Colors bright and spirits high. Frogs are partying under the sky.
For your sanity and for mine, a quick bit of editing, and I have 2 structures for the wings. I'm just going to be using my scissors so that I can cut around the general shape of what I want with the UV paper. And as you can see, nice and easy to snippy snip through with a pair of scissors. I'm going to use some UV resin to make sure that stays in place. And for that I will, as you see, no magic trick this time, got my gloves on. And once again, JDiction UV resin. Just putting on some small bits here, just to make sure that it's nicely in place. And then I can do a bit more snipping to the actual shape that I want of the wings. Froggy Friday is a collaboration started by Karen from the Dragon's Cave and Lisa from Girl in the Garage, and myself and Tim, the bass resonator, kind of jumped on aboard with it, as did Gertie from Gert Creates. So send any of us a message if you'd like to join in. You don't have to be a well-established channel. It doesn't even need to be resin. So have a think about it. It's just great fun. And as I said, I am totally winging it. I wanted to make sure that it was looking good and looking lovely. So the UV resin paper has done its job with helping me with a structure. But I also want to make sure that it's looking good on both sides. So I'm going to mix up some more of the UV resin with the same alcohol inks. Bright red. I believe I only use the bright red. Yes, I do. But I put about 5 drops in. A little bit of the Diamond Frost. And I'm just going to pop this bit of resin on the inside. Just to, it gives it more structure as well, and it looks a lot prettier than just leaving it with the clear resin, which, you know, when I showed it at the camera you could clearly see it there. So I wanted a tidier look. So this will go into under the lamp, and I do put it under there for a good 3 minutes. But the powers of editing. So there we go. I've put the UV resin in both sides, and that is looking good. So I've bent the metal over slightly to make sure I have some form of purchase on the frog's body. And just doing a small little dab just to get the placement, and then we can build up. If you've seen my other videos on making the frogger flies, this method has worked for me. So just using a small dab until you don't have to hold it anymore, and then adding some more of the UV resin to build basically the structure, to keep it all in place. I lost my trail of thought because a cat just jumped up on my lap. I'm not going to be adding any little bits and pieces and pretty things. I like the look of the metal. I think it looks kind of cool. And I'm quite proud of them. So I'm just putting those in place, just using my UV torch, which I think needs some fresh batteries. So that's looking good, really happy with that. And I am aware that they are not completely even. But again, I'm taking artistic license. This Fragon is like, he could be like in mid-flight for all we know. He's just landed. Yes, that's it. He's just this moment landed on his little slice of wood. And that's why the wings, we caught them in mid-movement. That's the excuse I'm going with. So once again, just making sure that they are sitting in place, and he will have a sit underneath the actual lamp as well, just to make sure there's no stickiness or anything like that, because we don't like sticky UV resin. It's not the nicest thing. There we are, that's looking nice. So the other side of the wings as well, and just making sure it's not going anywhere. Yes, you can use, or if you so wish, you can use like a glue gun, you can use regular glue, but personally I think that this just works better, especially, you know, with like the E6000 or whatever it's called, B6000, that stuff. You'll be sitting there forever holding it. And you'd have to figure out some way, and you know I have a love-hate relationship with glue guns. I wish I could give him a tail, but I couldn't quite figure that out, but maybe next time. So I'm just using my finger to put some UV resin on the other side of the wing. This is the side that I made with the UV resin paper, and I want it to have a shine. I want it to look lovely like the other side does. So once again, that's gonna have a couple of minutes under there, and that, see, compared to that side, I think it looks really good. So we're gonna do the same again. You can use a brush or a silicone tool for this, but I think using the finger is just absolutely fine. Just make sure you know, I use the big wipes, and that, I think that's awesome. I think it's so lovely. Oh, he's so sweet. Loves that little, look at his little nose. So regardless, once again, artistic license. I know that the Welsh Dragon does not have a crown, but all my froggerflies, my frogs, even the Fragon is gonna get a crown, because, you know, he needs one. Because he's awesome and he's beautiful. And I've gone for a silver one as well, because the colour looks really good with the super sparkle white. My apologies for this next part. Oh, look at him, he's looking awesome. I used UV resin to make these little wings for the little froggos. I found this mould on Temu. It's like mini, like, bat/dragon wings. I thought I'd hit record, but evidently I hadn't, because I cannot find the recording. So I just used the same alcohol ink as I used on the Fragon's wings. I used the bright red alcohol ink, and I mixed in a little bit of the diamond frost, and I simply put it in for 5 minutes on one side, 5 minutes on the other. The lamp was strong enough to penetrate through, and it's a clear mould anyway. So there we go. They got cool little wings. They're little mini Fragons, aren't they sweet? So doing the same thing, exactly the same thing as I did on the large Fragon, and just building up around the wings with the UV resin to put them in place. Doing it on top and then building a little bit underneath as well, just using the UV torch, and when I'm done I'll put them underneath the lamp as well, and both Froggos will have a good 5 minutes each. The wings are slightly different sizes. I decided, you know what, I'm happy with them having different size wings. Maybe one's older than the other. But they're fab. Really lovely, handy little mould. If I can find the link, I will put it in the description box below for you. Don't forget to check out my description box either, because there are vouchers in there, discount codes, for things like Apex resin for Isotoyo. Use them, you know, don't be afraid. I am an affiliate for some, you know, and that's cool as well, because it helps put everything back into my channel. So have you enjoyed this one? It's I know I've been making quite a few Froggerflies and stuff lately, and yes, the Fragons aren't much different. They have wings, but it's a different way, you know. I hope I've given you an idea and a little bit of inspiration that you don't necessarily need to have the molds, and you can make up stuff using some wire and, you know, this really cool technique that Daniel Cooper shared with us all. So here we are. They're finished. I do wish I could have given him a tail. I was trying to figure it out, but I put a pin in it because I was getting stressed. But I will figure it out. But he's awesome. He's wonderful. Our St. David's Day inspired Fragon and his little friends. And they, like, you know, there's like, they buzz around him like little buzzy bees. But they're not. They're little Fragons. They're baby Fragons. And they're really cute. So, please check out everybody else's videos. They are down in the description below. Have fun. Enjoy. Join in. Love you. Stay weird.
Room full of colors and swirls. Nerd Goblin art draws a magic worlds, with foxes that prance and badgers that dance. A whirlwind of dreams with a single glance. Gerald the alligator grins so wide. In enchanted waters he loves to hide. Dragons breathe wonder with flames so bright. Each creature born from a magic night. Nerd Goblin paints life in every brush. Animals frolic in a vibrant rush. From canvases to tales they leap, in a realm where fantasy meets deep. The studio's alive with swirls